Welcome back to Testosterone Sports. This is week 14 of the show, and the NFL week 14 is about in fact, it's well underway. I'm your host, Jeff. Yeastie is joining me today.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, good to have you back on set.
Oh, it's great to be back. I'm in a brilliant, happy mood today.
Well, I know that you're not extremely excited right now,
As
although I am because of the Vikings.
No, I don't know. The Vikings,
Tell everybody
you know what?
why you're unhappy.
I'm happy that the Vikings won. I like the Vikings. Everybody says that I hate on the Vikings. I get hate mail like a couple times a week from people.
At least you get mail.
I do get. We get some decent amount of mail, but my team, the Yeastie Boys, in our tough league, I had some coaching mistakes, and I'm out of the playoffs. So third highest scoring team in the league.
Craziness.
Had some bad luck, some stupid coaching by the East. It's, like Marty Schottenheimer used to do. I just can't, once it comes to postseason, screw it. Anyways, I'm in the playoffs in the league that I've run for almost 15 years, number 2 seed, and I guess that'll have to make me feel better.
Yeah.
But, if I'm a little grumpy out there, everybody, I apologize.
Well, I'll tell you, you do have one thing to smile about, and that is the Cleveland Browns. They have been playing lights out. Of course, they went down to the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to break down the Cleveland Browns matchup in a few minutes, but we're going to start this segment with St. Louis traveling to Cincinnati, where the Rams will take on the Bengals. Yeastie, I think that this is a great matchup for Carson Palmer in the passing game from the Bengals. Share with me your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I think that the Bengals' passing game is definitely going to do well. They struggled a little bit, obviously, against Pittsburgh, as we expected, but against that St. Louis secondary, I mean, that's a secondary that gets lit up almost every week. They made Joey Harrington look actually pretty decent. Roddy White had a huge day last week.
Yep.
So Cincinnati, I think you got to start everybody. Rudy Johnson at this point is starting to get most of the carries. Kenny Watson starting to fade back just a little bit. I think you got to start Carson. You got to start TJ, Chad, everybody, even Chris Henry. So I think everybody on the Cincinnati side of the ball is a go.
I really like Steven Jackson here in this matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals don't stop the run very well at all, and Jackson's really running with a lot of fervor and heart these days. He put up several good yards last week, got in the end zone, and helped your fantasy squad to win.
Yep.
And so you can start him with confidence here this weekend. But I want to just shift gears for one quick second. I want to give a shout out to the BD Scrapper from our website. He emailed with a very interesting question. Nice job in getting these two quarterbacks, Scrapper. You've got both Tom Brady and Carson Palmer. And his question is, for the first round of the playoffs here in Week 14, he wants to know if he should bench Tom Brady, who plays against the stout Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and roll with Carson Palmer here in this game.
Boy.
Yeastie, I know it's a tough one for me too.
Wow.
Share with me your thoughts and with the rest of the community about what he should do in this situation.
Man, that's tough.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's tough. I hate to say it, I would almost go with Carson.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, Tom got you there. Tom Brady got you there, and if you're the guy in your league who got to the playoffs with Tom Brady, you're probably a number 1, number 2 seed at this point. I mean, and you're the guy that benches Brady, and Palmer has a terrible day. You got to watch the weather at both stadiums. See what the weather's going to do. But Palmer has a better matchup, I think. But I mean, Brady's cooled down a little bit the last couple weeks. Man, if you play Carson Palmer over Brady and you lose because of that, dude, you're going to hear about it for years, BD. I'm sorry, bro, but that's a tough one. As much as my mind says you should go with Carson, I just don't think you can bench Tom Brady, bro. I don't think you can.
Well, there's really only a small handful of other quarterbacks you could think about benching Brady for, and Palmer is probably at the front of the class in that situation. I'm going to go ahead and tell the Scrapper to go ahead and start Carson Palmer.
Wow.
I know that you're going to get kicked around if you lose because of it, but if you win because of it, everybody in your league is going to think you're a genius, and that's fun.
I just think the downside is too risky. I mean, I'm
well, he mentions himself in the email that if it were a regular season game, why not? But this is the first round of the playoffs.
I'd have to look at I would have to look.
His exit.
You know what? Send us another email. I know that Washington, Chicago will be over at this time. Send us another email tonight. Let us know your lineup because I mean, man, that's risky. That's risky. If the rest of your matchups are looking good, man, go ahead.
I really think that Cincinnati's going to win this game, Yeastie, and I do think that in order to get it done, they're going to have to throw the ball. And with Chad Johnson, who's healthy, T.J. Houshmandzadeh, an excellent red zone target, and Chris Henry bringing up the third, Palmer has some great receivers to throw the ball to. I think this could be a multiple touchdown game for him.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, go ahead, man. I'm not gonna be the guy on TV to say bench Tom Brady for, I mean,
For anybody.
I'm scared. I would be scared. I'm scared for you, and I don't want somebody to come hunting me down and be like, you son of a, you told me. So, I mean, do it if you need to do it, bro. That's what we call ballsy.
Right.
So, go ahead. But
And that's what champions do. They get their nuts out at the right time and slap the other guy in the face with them. And if you want a title, you sometimes you got to pull the crazy coaching
You got to show
move.
some stones.
Yep. So good luck in that decision that you have, Scrapper.
Wow.
For everybody else who is thinking about the playoffs or their matchups, what's going on, join us on the Fat Chat. I'll just take a minute to express about that right now. Every time after the show, we're on there. It's about 10:30 Central Standard Time at testosteronesports.com. We'll be there. We'll be chatting about our matchups, and we'd love to hear about your own. We want to get your opinions on what we should do, and then, of course, share ours. That's all we really ever do is share our opinions anyway. So
I share my opinion whether you want to hear it or not. So I mean, that's just, especially this week. I don't have anything going on this week. I mean, I've got bye weeks in 3 other leagues, and I missed the playoffs. My game doesn't mean crap in our tough league right now. So I'll probably tank it so I can line up to try to get Darren McFadden. So.
Well, I'll tell you that one game that means a lot, especially for Viking fans, is the Dallas Cowboys are traveling up to the Motor City to play against the Detroit Lions. And I'll tell you, Yeastie, being a huge Viking fan, we're tied with the Detroit Lions and we beat them. So how great would it be to see Dallas take out the Lions? And don't you think they're going to put a whooping on them offensively?
This is one of those games where I could see Tony Romo playing bad. I really could see him playing poorly. Detroit, if they're going to step up and try to do anything at all, if they're going to take that next step forward, try to move to the postseason, their defense has stepped it up a lot at home. And this is kind of a trap game for Detroit. For Dallas, excuse me. And hopefully Romo doesn't revert back to that Buffalo Bills game. Big game for them on Monday night, and he threw 6 interceptions. But hopefully for Vikings fans out there, Detroit rolls over like they did the last 4 weeks. So I see Dallas is going to put up some points, but we'll just see how Detroit responds back. Roy Williams is going to be out probably for the rest of the year with his knee. Look for Calvin Johnson to step it up. Mike Furry and Sean McDonald also.
So now, how do you like Kevin Jones here in this matchup? Do you think they're going to pass the ball more to win?
I think they're going to be. I think they're probably going to be behind. So I mean, they may get some turnovers and stuff. I don't see Kevin Jones being much of a factor
in the passing game, perhaps.
Maybe, but in the running game, probably not too much of a factor.
Yeah. Okay. Another NFC North division rival, the hated Green Bay Packers, play host to the Oakland Raiders. Another game where you have one hot team against one pretty crappy team. I think the Pack rolls in this game, shoots holes all over the Oakland secondary, makes them like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I think that Brett Favre looks like he's going to play, even if Aaron Rodgers did play. I mean, he played well against Dallas in relief of Brett last week. Ryan Grant's going to be money this week. He should be anyways. Who wouldn't start Ryan Grant if
don't you think that the Packers, with the Brett Favre injury, they probably will run the ball more?
Yeah, well, everybody runs the ball on Oakland anyways, so... Yeah,
Oakland has a fairly good secondary.
Yeah, Amde Nasamwa is very good, and so the Oakland secondary, kind of limited a little bit as far as Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, James Jones, and the bunch. Donald Lee probably will be pretty well because Oakland, I think, is 7th as far as yards and touchdowns for tight ends. They give up a lot to the tight end, so Donald Lee will probably be pretty good. But Greg Jennings, Driver, Ryan Grant, I think you start them all.
Okay, so you're not worried at all about the Brett Favre thing. One reason I ask is I've been thinking about this situation, and it almost seems like it behooves the Packers to tell everybody that Favre's going to play.
Yeah.
And even if he's still injured, they trot him out there, let him keep his string going, and then throw Rodgers out there, then run the ball more.
If you've got a good option to replace Brett, then you consider going with him. If you're in a league that has team quarterback, I mean, obviously you'll be fine, but. I still think you have to go with Brett at this point. I mean, if you've got a better option and a good matchup, then you might want to consider it. Keep an eye on the injury report and the weather as well. Weather is really going to start to play a factor in games that's coming down the stretch. So Ryan Grant, no matter what the weather's like, is your best start in this game.
So is there any fantasy love off the Oakland side of the ball other than Namdi Assalamu Alaikum?
I think Justin Fargas. I mean, he's run the ball really well the last few weeks, and he's proven that he can be a workhorse, which I didn't think he could be. So Justin Fargas is going to be well. Josh McCown played well last week, but let's consider who he did it against. Yep. It was a division opponent. It was Denver. Yep. But I mean, that secondary. But I mean, the way that the game turned out, if you watched any of the footage or the tape of the game, the way that he passed the ball wasn't against their corners and everything. So obviously, if you're not starting Josh McCown at this point.
Well, if you're not headed to the playoffs, there's still a couple things that you want to keep an eye on fantasy football-wise, like Jamarcus Russell. Over the next few weeks, keep an eye on what he's going to be doing. They're going to be mixing him in to their offense a little bit more, getting him up under center, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for next season. So that is one little bright spot of hope for those of you out there who did not make the playoffs. One other team not making the playoffs this year, Miami, going to Buffalo. I thought Miami would beat the Jets last weekend. They went down very handily. Do they get their victory here? What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Buffalo has actually played very well. Fred Jackson stepped in for Marshawn Lynch, ran for over 100 yards, and filled in very well. Looks like Lynch at this point, remember we're taping earlier in the week, at this point Lynch looks like he's going to play. Either one of those guys I think makes a very solid start. Lee Evans, if you have him, you probably have to roll with him. He's that all or nothing, hit or miss kind of guy. Trent Edwards you're not going to start Trent Edwards, but I think whichever back is starting is the one that you've got to start.
Help me with this lineup question that I have. I've got a divisional. Well, I mean it's a playoff game that I'm trying to decide between Greg Jennings and Lee Evans. What do you think I should do?
Yeah, I'd probably go Greg Jennings. I would think.
They're at home. Against Oakland.
Yeah, I'd go with Greg Jennings.
Yeah,
he's been hot lately.
Or Lindell White, I suppose, technically.
Nah, he's got the shoulders.
I know.
Puffy Doughboys let me down the last few weeks. I hate you, Lindell.
He'll be back to his normal form. We'll get to that game actually in the next segment. But right now we are going to talk about the red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the ice-cold Houston Texans. What's going on with Matt Schaub? Is he going to play, Yeastie, or will we see Sage Rosenfels again?
Looks like it's going to be Sage. Matt Schaub's probably going to be shut down for the rest of the year with a shoulder injury. I think they said a torn labrum, possibly. Andre Johnson, I still think people are saying sit him, but even when Sage Rosenfels was in there, he would throw the ball to Andre Davis. He threw it to Kevin Walter. This offense, it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is right now. I still think you've got to start Andre Johnson at this point.
He's such a playmaker that you really don't want to leave his abilities on your bench, especially in playoff times. He's got the chance to take it to the house at any time in the game. So Andre Johnson is a baller. Matt Schaub is a good quarterback, and in the interest of looking forward, he's going to be a nice buy low type of a player that you can get next season who could develop very well into a number one type quarterback.
He's probably going to be next year's Ben Roethlisberger, I think, at this point, the way that Big Ben has surprised some people. You got him pretty late probably in your draft. I think probably similar type numbers, 25 to 30 touchdown passes for Matt Schaub next year if he stays healthy. Yeah,
Ben Roethlisberger having a fantastic season right now, number 4 on the list for passer rating, I believe. So having a really nice year. They're doing a good job.
That's enough Steeler talk, bro. I hate the Steelers.
I do like the Steelers. I've got a little bit of an affinity for them.
I can't stand them.
And we may as well just break down this one more matchup here. We've got a little bit of extra time.
All right.
Pittsburgh headed to New England.
Pittsburgh.
A big time game. New England, they barely won against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Now that was in their house.
Yeah.
I think that if this game were in Pittsburgh, that it would be a different story. But what's your take? I think that the Steelers go down in a close one. Think they've got the stones to do it?
I don't know. I would have taken New England minus the 20 points last week. So when it comes to predicting what the Patriots are going to do at this point, I really don't think I can. Tom Brady and Randy Moss have both slowed down a little bit as it started to go on, later into the season. Wes Welker had a horrible game. You cost me a playoff spot, you son of a... Anyways.
Tom Brady should be fairly average in this game.
I think Brady's going to get hit in the mouth a couple of times. The way that Dick LeBeau schemes with that zone blitz, I think they've always matched up relatively well with him. Don't look for much. Everybody thinks this is going to be a little bit lower scoring than I've talked to. I look for it for both teams to be in the 20s. A lot like last week's game with Baltimore. But I still think New England's going to come out on top.
Yeah. Last week I was really pleased with the performance out of Lawrence Maroney. They got him going in the passing game a little bit and got his speed and his talent with the ball. It's important that they use their weapon, in my opinion. This is a number 2 ranked behind the Vikings, number 2 ranked rushing defense in the NFL. How do you think it's going to go for Lawrence Maroney here in this game?
It all depends on how the Patriots want to attack things. I think that Lawrence Maroney, I think he can get whatever the play calling allows him to get. I mean, he's such a talent that when given the opportunity, he's proven that he can do those things. So, you know, it all depends on how they want to play the game. I mean, if they want to try and just run it down the Steelers' throats just to prove that they can do it, I think they'll try and do that. So, if you have Maroney, maybe look for a better matchup because you just never know what you're going to get at this point.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. It's hard to bench one of those guys. It's hard to bench a Patriot at any point.
Yeah, it really, really is. So we're going to go ahead and go to break right now, and when we come back, Yeastie's going to be sitting in the moderator's chair, so that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm going to be sitting right here, bro.
And well, that will become the moderator's chair.
All right, then. I'm not
and
moving.
in the meantime, check out this excellent break that our wonderful producer, Alex Londo, has put together for all your enjoyment and viewing pleasure.
Different words describe different people. But in the eyes of the law, there's one that fits us all. Human right number 7. We're all equal before the law. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.